Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
The live desk opens now. Beating the bans, Sky News reveals how producers bend the rules on legal highs. A dozen teenagers charged with the murder of a 15-year-old at Victoria Station. And the race for the Champions League hot suppers, Liverpool and Torres, hit their straps. First at 9 o'clock, carnage on the Underground. At least 37 people have died. Dozens have been injured in two explosions on the Moscow metro at the height of the Monday rush hour. Amanda, thanks a lot. This is the live desk with me, Colin Brazier. News, business and sport at 9 and 1. Ahead this morning, election countdown. The Conservatives prepare to set out their economic stall. And Avatar's revenge, how James Cameron's epic got its own back after missing out on the Oscars. All to come this morning on the live desk for you. Key government drugs advisor has resigned just hours before the government was due to announce a ban on methadone. Live desk headlines this morning. Moscow's mayor says two female suicide bombers were responsible for this morning's major explosions on the city's metro system. At least 37 people died in the attacks, more than 60 been hospitalised. And other senior government drugs advisors quit, throwing into doubt plans to ban legal highs such as methadone. And a dozen teenagers due in court later charged with murdering a 15-year-old boy at Victoria Tube Station in London on Thursday. Now, children need better protection against the new generation of mobiles such as the iPhone. This is the live desk. Sport next, including Sven out for revenge against two old foes at the World Cup, we'll explain, and even the referees getting in on the act in the battle of the mascots. This is the live desk. Sport read now by Jackie Beltrán.
Thank you, Colin. Liverpool manager Rafa Benitez is convinced his side can still finish fourth in the Premier League after Fernando Torres inspired them to a 3-0 win against Sunderland yesterday. That is all sport for now.
What ridiculous footage, but strangely amusing. Here's the weather with Lisa.
As the rain pours over Johannesburg, we'll keep your spirits up.
Hello, good morning. We're in for a cold snap once more on the high ground of Northern England, Ireland and Scotland. Over the next couple of days, we're going to see more in the way of snowfall. Further south, it's rain, persistent rain in places, notably Wales and much of Northern England. Some sharp showers cropping up through St George's Channel, moving into the Irish Sea and through central Ireland there as well. You can see the rainfall. It's going to turn to snow anywhere really from the far north of England into southern Scotland. By the end of today, 2 to 5 centimetres above about 250 metres. But through the course of tomorrow, we could see a further fresh 20 centimetres of snowfall, drifting because of the gusty northeasterly airflow. And by dawn tomorrow, you can see the freezing cold temperatures through the north and the west, and temperatures here will not rise much above freezing. So it's a cold snap that's going to stay with us until about Friday.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
Coming up next on the live desk, Conservative plans will be live as the Tories set out how they give businesses a boost. And Kylie's cancer campaign, the pop princess, reaches out to other sufferers. You're watching the live desk on Sky News, and these are the headlines this morning. Moscow's mayor says two female suicide bombers were responsible for this morning's major explosions on the city's metro system. At least 37 people have died in the attacks, more than 60 injured. Another senior government drugs advisors quit, throwing into doubt plans to ban legal highs such as methadone. And a dozen teenagers due in court later charged with murdering a 15-year-old boy at Victoria Tube Station in London on Thursday. So the election yet to be called, but it feels as if the parties long ago swang into campaign mode. Sky's political correspondent Neil Patterson in Westminster ahead of a Tory news briefing. Let's talk to Neil if we can about what's going to be said today. George Osborne flanked by another couple of shadow cabinet heavyweights, Neil, and all this in the context of a lot of stories in the newspapers this morning focusing on national insurance and Tory plans for that.
Do you know what? It would be a good tweet, actually. Name all the mascots and their
clubs.
Oh,
yes, I'm sure someone's out there right now. I'd watch that game, though. That was good.
You'd watch that
football I watch normally. Thank you very much, Jackie. Now there's more on Sky News. On our website, skynews.com. China gets tough on foreign firms. The full story of the jailing of 4 Rio Tinto executives. It's online for you. And coming up, pointing the finger of blame, we look at Russia's response to homegrown terrorism and handheld trouble. Why surfing on the move is a nightmare for parents. Now time for the business news and the banks and how to deal with them if they get into trouble again. Much discussed. Here's Darshini with the details.
Thanks very much, Dermot. Yes, a message for the banks. Never again. MPs have called for a radical overhaul of the system so that taxpayers never again have to foot the bill for a bailout. Some good news there for savers. Let's have a look at those markets now, because this is what the FTSE 100 is doing at the start of the week, up by 1/3 of 1%. Will we hold on to those gains? We'll have to see how the day pans out. But as for the currencies, this is what the pound is up to at the moment as we speak. A rather mixed picture there, as you can see, but a little bit better against the dollar. You're up to date with the business news. More later. Back to you now, Dermot.
Darshini, thank you very much indeed. Breaking news from the Alps. The Italian side of the Alps has been an avalanche there, which has hit a group of skiers. 6 skiers, we're told, and one of them has died. We don't know their nationalities. We haven't been told that. But a group of 6 skiers hit by an avalanche in the Italian Alps. And reports say that it was in or around Mount Rosso, and that the skiers, the group, were skiing off-piste. It's 2,600 metres tall, Mount Rosso. But as I say, we don't know the nationalities, but a group of 6 skiers hit there by an avalanche. One of them has died. And our top stories in Sky News today. Russia's security agency has blamed insurgents from the Caucasus for this morning's fatal attacks on the Moscow metro. At least 37 people died in the bombings. Shadow Chancellor George Osborne says the Tories will override the proposed increase in national insurance planned for next spring for the majority of workers. And another senior government drugs advisor has quit, throwing into jeopardy plans to ban legal highs such as methadone. Now, on our website, skynews.com, find out how you can help shape the leaders' debate. That'll take place once the election's called. Post your questions online. And later, the Empire Awards strike back. Film fans stand up for their favourites. Now, coming up for you, bringing you the very latest on the issue of methadone. The Drugs Advisory Committee, which advises the government, is meeting now. It's had several resignations, throwing into doubt its ability to recommend a ban of methadone. Well, the Home Office has been taking legal advice.
Step into a world that's quite simply inspiring.
This is Sky News Today. Coming up in the next hour, striking at the heart of the rush hour, Russia's security agency blames insurgents from the Caucasus. Designing legal highs, an undercover report into how Chinese drug companies stay one step ahead of British law. And the end of the gravy train, MPs find out the new rules on their expenses. But first, here's Lisa with the weather.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
Suicide bombers target the Moscow underground. At least 37 people are dead. We'll have the latest live. The Tory plan to save millions of workers from a rise in national insurance contributions. Critics ask, how will they pay for it? A ban on the legal high methadone comes a step closer. The government's drugs panel to deliver its verdict today. In sport, the county cricket season begins with pink balls and a new home in Abu Dhabi.
And Scott Baker.
Now, this is the
member of the board,
hearing into the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority meeting, which is going to tell MPs what they can and can't claim on their expenses. New expenses regime. Let's just listen to what's happening. Now, let's get the very latest on all the day's main developments with Gillian.
Dermot, thank you. At least 37 people are dead after 2 explosions at 2 central Moscow tube stations during rush hour. She had a partial mastectomy, followed by 8 months of radiotherapy and chemotherapy.
Thank you very much, Gillian. And as Gillian's been telling us, the Philpott. Thank you very much indeed. John Philpott there from the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. When we come back, the very latest from Moscow. 2 attacks on the metro this morning, 37 killed. It's been condemned by President Obama.
Heart-stopping scenes that keep you on the edge of your seat. Vivaldi's greatest work from the front row. Nature's most incredible moments. Spectacular new blockbusters. What would you watch in high definition? Call 08442 414243 for more information. Sky. Believe in better.
This is Sky News Today. Coming up in the next hour, striking at the heart of the rush hour. Bombs in Moscow. Russia's security agency blames insurgents from the Caucasus. Designing legal highs, an undercover report into how Chinese drug companies stay one step ahead of British law. And another brush with the law for Paul Gascoigne. First, here's the weather with Lisa.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
The end of an era, new rules on what MPs can and cannot put on their expenses. Suicide bombers target the Moscow underground. At least 37 people are killed. We'll have the latest live. The Conservative plan to save millions of workers from a rise in national insurance. Critics ask, how will they pay for it? A ban on the legal high methadone comes a step closer. The government's drugs panel is to deliver its verdict today. In sport, the county cricket season begins with pink balls and a new home in Abu Dhabi. And Kylie turns poster girl for a new breast cancer campaign.
Live from the Sky News Centre, this is Sky News with Dermot Murnaghan.
Good afternoon. Our top story on Monday, the 29th of March. New rules to limit what MPs can claim on expenses have finally been published today. The recommendations will not need to be approved by Parliament and will come into force immediately after the next election. So how stringent are they? Well, MPs will no longer be able to recoup mortgage payments for second home. And more of the day's news now. Here's Gillian.
Dermot, thank you. The government's Drugs Advisory Panel will hand its verdict on whether to ban the legal high methadone to the Home Secretary this afternoon. During a meeting earlier, the panel revealed that 25 deaths in England and Scotland may be linked to the drug. It also claims the drug is widespread in schools and that regular use could lead to dependency. 12 teenagers are appearing in court charged with murdering a 15-year-old boy at London's Victoria Tube Station. Sofiane Belyamadjoun was repeatedly stabbed in the chest during the attack on Thursday. Police arrested another 4 children, 3 boys and a girl, this morning. The former England football star Paul Gascoigne has been charged with drink driving. He was arrested last month after an incident at a takeaway in Leeming Bar, North Yorkshire. He's also charged with driving without insurance and driving without a licence. He'll appear in court on April the 16th. A third day of strike action by British Airways cabin crew is underway. BA's website says 135 flights from Heathrow have been cancelled today, but 150 are scheduled to depart as usual. The airline says all its flights in and out of Gatwick and London City Airport are running as normal. Meanwhile, the Unite union is threatening further walkouts after Easter if a deal isn't reached. 4 years after beating breast cancer, Kylie Minogue is launching a campaign to raise awareness of the disease. The singer says the project, organised by Breakthrough Breast Cancer, means a lot to her. Kylie was diagnosed with breast cancer during her Showgirl tour in 2005. She had a partial mastectomy followed by 8 months of radiotherapy and chemotherapy.
Thanks, Gillian. Well, the head of Russia's security agency has blamed rebels from the Caucasus for this morning's double suicide bombing on the Moscow metro. This is Sky News. Coming up, it's the sport with John Desborough, including Sven-Göran Eriksson's given the chance for revenge at the World Cup. And even the referee can't help getting involved in the battle of the mascots. Well, now John's here with the sport, and John, it's all cricket, isn't it? And starting with, I'm mystified. I read out
a very important day.
Pink balls in Abu
That's
Dhabi.
right.
What's this all
Be.
about?
Cricket has been experimenting with pink balls. It's very important to them because the future of cricket lies with Test cricket, but the future of Test cricket really lies with the pink ball because they want to find out if they can play under floodlights with the pink ball. And if they can, then Test cricket can move later in the day. The Plymouth one.
Was that lower league stuff, or was Gunnosaurus allowed in? I bet he would have got a hat-trick.
Yeah, the Arsenal mascot decided not to play because the pitch wasn't very good.
Thank you very much, John. See you later. Right, let's tell you there's more on Sky News on our website, skynews.com. Your chance to frame the debate. Send in questions for our historic leaders' debate, the election clash, and coming up, legal loopholes and more resignations as the government get ready to ban the drug methadone. And a closer look at those Tory tax plans. Do they really have the magic formula for bringing down the deficit?
These are the top stories this afternoon. New rules on MPs' expenses have been published today after a 7-month consultation period. MPs will no longer be able to recoup mortgage payments for second homes. Instead, those who live more than 20 miles from Westminster will be able to claim up to £1,450 a month for a one-bedroom rented flat. MPs will get their expenses paid back only when they produce a receipt. Well, claims for public transport will be limited to a standard class open ticket. Police arrested another 4 children, 3 boys and a girl, this morning.
Thank you, Gillian. Well, it looks as if we're rapidly moving towards a ban on the legal high at the moment, methadone, which has been linked to several deaths recently, and up to 25, we're told, in total in England and Scotland. That is according to the government's Drugs Advisory Panel. It has been discussing a ban on the drug today and will hand its advice to the Home Secretary later this afternoon. Well, Sky's Mark White is live outside the panel's meeting. And what have you been hearing then, Mark?
Holly Williams, Sky News.
Well, now time for the latest business news with Darshini David.
Thanks very much, Dermot. Well, MPs want a radical overhaul of the UK's banking system so that taxpayers never have to foot the bill again for a banking bailout. In the meantime, let's have a look at those markets, because this is what the FTSE's up to as we speak right now, inching into positive territory, but not very far, quite flat at the moment. Onto the currencies, because this is what the pound's up to this lunchtime as well. A better day overall, up by 1/5 of a cent there against the dollar. Can it hang on to that ground? I'll tell you a little bit later. Back to you now, Dermot.
OK, we shall see. Darshini, thank you very much. This is Sky News on our website, skynews.com. Background and analysis after those bombings in Moscow. Our foreign affairs editor picks apart the story. And coming up, those Tory tax promises as George Osborne prepares for the first debate. We'll see what the commentators think.
Flights, hotels, car hire, netflights.com. Travel your way.
Hello, taking a look at the picture across Europe today and through central Mediterranean regions, not so bad. We have cloud moving into Sardinia. Corsica will stay pretty dry, and the east coast of Spain not faring too bad either, about 21 degrees Celsius there. The rain in the west is going to move its way eastwards, so central and southern parts tomorrow will be looking finer and drier. But for France, we've had belt after belt of rainfall, similar to Britain and Ireland actually, and the winds are very gusty out to the west of France as well.
Netflights.com. Travel your way.
Well, now it is an election campaign in all but name right now, with both Labour and the Conservatives trying to put some clear water. Now, when we come back, it won't be me, it will be Colin. He's here with the live desk, and he'll be talking about, amongst other things, Moscow, the latest from the bombings there this morning, 37 killed, and the finger being pointed at terrorists from the Caucasus.
The free weekend pass is back. For one weekend only, we're showcasing some of the best TV absolutely free. It's your front row ticket to a live rugby union game.
Incredible scenes here.
Action-packed drama and inspiring documentaries. For a weekend of fantastic telly, simply tune in to Sky 3.
I like the sound of that.
The free weekend pass starts 17th of April, only on Sky 3.
A very good afternoon, I'm Colin Brazier and this is the Lunchtime Live Desk. The terrorists will be destroyed. Vladimir Putin promises a swift and bloody response to Moscow's underground train slaughter of this morning. These are the latest pictures we've received. We'll be talking to Amanda Walker, our Moscow correspondent, after the weather.
Over the Sea of Japan, as cool conditions persist, you'll find something to whet your appetite.
Hello. Through the course of the afternoon, the rain will continue, heaviest through parts of Wales, the Isle of Man, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland as well, through central parts. And on the leading edge, as it hits the cold air in Scotland, it's going to turn to snow above about 250 metres. By the end of the day, we'll see 5 centimetres of snowfall in places. And by dawn tomorrow, further snow accumulating through central eastern Scotland, drifting as a consequence of the strong easterly wind, and a similar picture through the mountains of Ireland, central eastern parts in the main. Southwest of Ireland dries up and quite bright at times, and similarly through parts of central England and Wales we'll see a little bit of brightness developing on Tuesday, but nonetheless we'll never be far from the prospect of 1 or 2 sharp showers. That system is traversing eastwards by noon on Wednesday. Still the snowfall on the high ground across northern England and Scotland, and you can see we've still got this airstream from the north by noon on Thursday with some snowy showers on the highest ground.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
The Live Desk opens now. No more money for second homes. The new rules on MPs' expenses. A ban on the legal high methadone comes a step closer. And under fire, but Zola says he is determined to carry on at West Ham. But first at 1 o'clock, terror in the heart of Moscow. At least 37 people have died, dozens have been injured in 2 explosions on the city's underground. These are the latest pictures we've received here. The mayor says both attacks were carried out by female suicide bombers. Well, this is how events unfolded this morning. The explosions hit 2 of the busiest interchange stations on the Moscow metro system in the middle of the rush hour. The first blast struck at 7:56 local time on a train which had stopped at the Lubyanka metro station, the headquarters of Russia's Federal Security Service, the FSB, located above that station. Well, reports suggest 25 people were killed, 14 of whom were in the train carriage, 11 waiting on the platform. Around 45 minutes later, at 8:38 local time, another explosion rocked the Park Kulturi metro station. Well, Sky's Amanda Walker is in the Russian capital.
The daily commute shattered by 2 acts of terror.
Amanda, thanks very much indeed. Amanda Walker there in Moscow. We were telling you this morning about rescue attempts made by the South Koreans to try to get some of their sailors who it thought may have been trapped on one of their warships, the upturned stern of which you can see pictured there. Their divers have been going in. But rather more importantly, from a diplomatic perspective at least, there's the fact the South Korean defence chief has just said that the North Korea, may have intentionally floated mines to damage South Korean shipping. So in what has been a looming diplomatic spat, words from the South Korean defence minister implicating the North in what's happened to that warship, and 46 sailors missing aboard that particular vessel. More on that story when the details come in. This is the Live Desk with me, Colin Brazier. News, business and sport at 9 and 1 every weekday. Ahead this lunchtime, cookery at the ready. Joanna Lumley hits back at critics to her campaign, or of her campaign to help the Gurkhas. And safer than most, but not yet safe enough, new warnings for British children about the internet. Now, new rules on MPs' expenses have been published after a 7-month-long consultation period. MPs will no longer be able to recoup mortgage payments for second homes. Thanks a lot, Mark. Hope you can stay with us for the sports news this lunchtime. That's going to include a mission to Munich, United heading out for their Champions League showdown, and the new county cricket season starts in an unusual location with pink balls and floodlights. That's the Shadow Chief Secretary of the Treasury, Philip Hammond. Thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Ahead this lunchtime on the Live Desk, going into battle for the Gurkhas again, Joanna Lumley's hitting back at the critics, and Kylie's campaign to raise breast cancer awareness. Let's bring you the business data now from Darshini.
Thanks very much, Colin. Well, MPs are calling for a radical overhaul of the UK's banking system to make sure we, the taxpayer, never again have to foot the bill for a bailout.
Have a great day.
Well, you're up to date now with the business news. More from me later. Back to you, Colin.
Darshini, thanks very much indeed. Live desk headlines this lunchtime. Russia's security agencies blamed insurgents from the Caucasus for this morning's fatal attacks on the Moscow metro. At least 37 people have died in the bombings. Scores have been injured. MPs will no longer be allowed to claim back mortgage payments on second homes under new rules on expenses announced today. And the Shadow Chancellor says the Tories will override the proposed increase in national insurance planned for next spring. Coming up next on the Live Desk, find out what's got you clicking on the Sky News website, including why British summertime might be getting off to a wintry start, and how Google is turning to an old-fashioned method of getting its messages across.
It's 8 o'clock, the latest from Sky News Radio.
We were telling you a short while ago in conversation with Jeff Mead, our defence correspondent, that Joanna Lumley, the actress, expected to talk about reports about the Gurkhas and the compensation programme that's been given to them by the government. She's been facing, it's said, some criticism. Well, Kevin Jones, the Minister for Veterans, who it's suggested has made comments which she has found offensive. It all gets a bit complicated, but I'll try and clarify. He says, I apologise unreservedly for any offence caused to Joanna Lumley by my remarks to the Home Affairs Committee. We'll go into that in a bit more length shortly. In the meantime, Matt Smith's been looking at what Sky's online audience is clicking on this lunchtime. Matt.
Colin, thank you. Yes, these are the stories you've been reading on the Sky News website. In reverse order, 7% of clicks, 4 more teenagers have been arrested over the stabbing of a 15-year-old boy at London's Victoria Station. 12 people, all aged 16 and 17, have already been charged with the murder after the attack last Thursday. With 8% of today's clicks, you've been looking at these pictures of singer Katy Perry receiving a face full of slime at an awards ceremony. The star was presenting an award at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards when she got covered in green gunk. With 9% of today's clicks, it's the Sky News report into the supply of legal highs from China. Our investigation found that Chinese chemical factories were already working on new products to send to the UK if methadone gets banned. Now, moving on, 14% of today's clicks. We may have moved into British summertime this weekend, but it's not stopped weather forecasters warning of a return of sleet and snow. The Met Office says parts of northern England and southern Scotland could be hit on Tuesday and Wednesday. The far north of Scotland has already seen freezing temperatures and snowfalls. And the most clicked story, 16%. It's those suicide attacks on Moscow's metro system that's killed 37 people. Russian authorities say the 2 female bombers appeared to be linked to militants from the North Caucasus region. Well, some of the stories moving up across the internet today, and it seems some of the spies who fought the Cold War and led the war on terror have found an opponent they cannot beat. It's information technology. MI5 is apparently going to lay off employees in order to hire new intelligence support officers and better staff with better computer skills. And the other mover today, Google's been forced to take an unusual marketing move to persuade more people online rather than sending out emails or creating a catchy viral video to get the message across. Google's sending out some leaflets teaching people how to use the computer. Let's have a look at one of the most popular videos online today. Here it is. The skating was going well, if only he'd seen the signs. Whoops. I didn't even know that was going to happen. SkyNews.com, tonight at 7 o'clock.
Matt, thank you. Avatar has made up for its Oscar disappointment by being voted the film fans' favourite at last night's Empire Awards, the only ones voted for entirely by British filmgoers. Our showbiz correspondent is Steve Hargrave.
Just when you thought we were done with awards shows, well, here was another one. But then the Empire Awards are always seen as a more relaxed affair, as the magazine gives prizes to films that have been popular with the public, which gives us an excuse to play a clip of this film again.
Learn from the inside. I want you to gain their trust.
Yes, Avatar won big, getting Best Film, Best Director and Best Actress for Zoe Saldana, which for no apparent reason was accepted by Johnny Vegas, who I don't think was in the film.
Why did you pick it up for her? Do you know?
We'll take it from a successful film to a successful actress. Joanna Lumley is about to address some of the stories that have been doing the rounds about the kind of treatment which Gurkha veterans have faced.